Good evening. Welcome to the June 26th meeting of the Murfreesboro City Council. I don't typically start these meetings, but as city attorney, I'm the person who is responsible to start the meetings when neither the mayor nor the vice mayor are present. So the first order of business today will be for city council to, the members present, to elect a mayor pro tem to preside over the meeting. And so we'll entertain a motion or a nomination at this time.
Motion for Sean Wright to be Mayor Pro Temp.
Second.
Ms. Aberwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
You just voted for yourself.
That would,
Okay. Welcome to the July 26th meeting, or June 26th meeting of the Murfreesboro City Council. Mr. Wade has, first of all, are there any public comments? No. All right, Mr. Wade has the prayer and the pledge.
All right, let's pray. Lord, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you do. We thank you for our country. We ask you to bless our country, bless our nation. Lord, we just ask you to bless these people here on the council. Let us make wise decisions for the best interest of our city. And for that, we say thank you. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And next, we have a STARS Award, Mr. Michael Nevels.
Good evening, council members, Pro Tem Sean Wright. Tonight I'm here to recognize the STARS recipient for the month of May. Actually, this is our first time doing it for the year 2025. I am excited to announce that we've improved our award that we give our recipients. We've gone from a certificate to a acrylic award. It stands about 10 inches high and 6 inches wide. It's much better than what we've been doing in the past. Council, as you know, the purpose of the STARS Award is to recognize and reward employees who go above and beyond their normal regular job duties. Sometimes this means providing exceptional service to both our internal and external customers. Well, tonight's recipient embodies the meaning of service excellent. Our May STARS recipient is Mr. Michael Nevels. Most of us probably are very familiar with Michael. And personally, I've worked with Michael many years over the past, since my tenure here. He's actually one of the voices that does the voiceovers for our infomercial in the Human Resources Department. Always does a great job. Michael, as you probably know, is a member of the Communications Department. His current job title is Television Station Manager, a position he was recently promoted to in November of 2024. Michael actually started with the city back in 1996. He started off as a part-time individual. His role at that time was a video production assistant. He left for a few years and he then came back as a video journalist in 2008. And then later he was promoted to a full-time role as a communication specialist in 2012. And then he had an opportunity to shine. He moved into a role called the multimedia producer position, where at that time he received many awards. In fact, if you would, just walk with me down memory lane. I'm going to share some of these awards that he received over the years. He's a 7-time Tally Award winner, most recently in 2024, for excellent video production. Some of the production he produced were the Stone Rivers National Battlefield and The House Still Standing. He did a few documentaries. One he was recognized for was the 2020 Celebrate Christmas TV special. He also did a promo on the Outdoor Murfreesboro. He's a multiple National Association of Telecommunications Officers and Advisory winner, including 4 awards of excellence for first place. He received recognition for the Limbaugh Library Information Program, the Limbaugh Library promotional video, and also a video promoting Murfreesboro City Service. And last but not least, he's a 3-time CMA Marketing Awards winner. Let me back up a little bit. CMA doesn't necessarily stand for a Country Music Award. It stands for City County Communications. He was acknowledged for great work on the PSA on Park Smart, Don't Litter, and also Murfreesboro 2035. Now let me get to the point of why we're here. Michael was nominated for the STARS Award by Sarah Callender. She's the executive director of the Main Street Murfreesboro. Below are some comments that she wrote in the nomination form about Michael. Michael collaborated with the downtown community to create the 40th anniversary documentary about the revitalization movement through the Main Street Murfreesboro program. He took the lead in obtaining permission from the city to create the documentary and then worked with me to develop an execution plan. Michael professionally collaborated with several community leaders to conduct one-on-one interviews with each of them about their experience with the revitalization movement in the 1980s, and he also interviewed those who were part of the present-day enhancement of downtown. Michael researched photographs of historical moments to include and captured footage of current-day and nighttime scenes downtown. He produced a top-notch video showcasing a time that our city should never forget, when businesses, government, and local citizens work together to save our downtown business district. Michael was a joy to work with. And Michael, on a personal note, your work ethic, your dedication, and the service excellence are second to none, and we appreciate what you do. So if you would, please stand. On behalf of the city, the council, and the great city of Murfreesboro, we thank you and we recognize you for the recipient of the STARS Award for the month of May.
I think all the thunder was stolen by that great announcement. Great work, Michael, and I always look forward to looking at your work as well. I think everybody in this room does too. Thank you.
Great job, Michael. No. Oh, yeah. Did you do that?
Yeah, just push that away.
All right, we have 15 items on the consent agenda. Does anybody want to remove any of those, or I'm ready for a motion?
So moved.
Second.
First and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. All right, the number 16, City Council meeting minutes.
Move for approval.
Second.
First motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. All right, rezoning property along Old Las Casas Road. You've got to issue a public or have a public hearing.
Do you want to mention?
Oh, yes. Before we do the two public hearings, since we only have 4 members here tonight, we are going to have both public hearings, but we are going to defer any votes on either one of them since there's only 4 members. That way, all 7 members can have a decision in the 2 public hearing items. All right.
Good evening, Council and Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Wright. You may have recalled seeing this during our Planning Commission meetings as shown on your screen above. The property in question is a larger parcel that is contained RS-15 and RS-10 zoned properties. And you'll notice just outside there's a square to the north. That is a single-family residence that is not part of the project. It will be part of staying in RS-15 zone district. You may also notice that this is the old quarry site that we are looking at. This particular project had been reviewed by our Planning Commission, and as they reviewed it, we actually had 2 neighborhood meetings on the project, one back in December, and then another one later in the year to be able to, in May, in order to take a look at the changes that were made based on the first public hearing. The applicant will be going in more detail in regards to their plan development book, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of key points that came up. One is this phasing plan. You'll notice the project is phased into 3 separate phases. The blue one being the first phase, which would include landscape augmentation along their southerly border, but leaving all of the existing tree canopies in place in the pink areas and the yellow areas until those phases of the project move forward. And once they do move forward, this area predominantly here in the back section with the old quarry pond wetlands area will stay as it is intact, as well as this portion up here by the 3-story building in phase 3 that will remain in place, as well as about a 70-foot wide canopy along the frontage adjacent to the monument sign. With that, the project is looking at changing to a PCD, which is a planned commercial district, and really they're looking at 6 exceptions. The biggest exception is the policy that states that no mini storage can be within 300 feet of an intersection was the primary one, but as I said, Planning Commission had reviewed the project and recommended its approval. The components that the project were brought up by the neighbors included questions on buffering landscape, blasting, lighting, landscaping, preservation of open space, and drainage. So with that, the only changes that were made during the Planning Commission was a clarification on no signage in the banners. So you'll notice this 3-story building has some glazing along the frontage and on the side, and so they've included in their program book that those would not have any signage. And they also clarified this monument site, it's to be on its own separate lot of record. We want to make sure we give the full authority to our legal department to decide how that is written and recorded, because Mr. Cunningham, who owns the single-family home that will remain, wants to be the owner of that particular property. And in this particular PCD, the storage facility will be responsible for its long-term maintenance. So that really allows for preservation for that in the long term. With that, I would like to go ahead and turn it on over to SEC Engineering, who is the applicant, to go over their PowerPoint presentation about the other specifics of the project.
Thank you, Holly. Pro Temp my right, members of the council. My name is Brian Grover from SEC. With me tonight is Matt Taylor of SEC as well, one of our senior engineers, along with Jackson Nichols from Patterson Group, the applicant for this rezoning. The project is located at 1402 Old Las Casas Road, across from the Hazelwood Street intersection. As the site sits today, is primarily vacant. There's some existing trees on the west and eastern side, along with the old quarry pond in the northeast corner. To the north of the site, east and southeast, is single-family detached homes that consist of Stratford Hall, Prestwick, and Scotland Acres, with some multifamily to the southwest, consisting of Scotland Terrace and the Cove at Center Point. The site is zoned RS10 and RS15. This request would be to rezone the property to a PCD, or a planned commercial development. As a planned commercial development, this would not align with the 2035 future land use map for suburban residential. However, in discussion with staff, there were some key points that were determined that, based on the uniqueness of this property, deemed this proposed development appropriate for this site. Some of those issues that would be better off with this development, such as less blasting compared to residential development, would secure the site and also provide a minimum amount of traffic to the surrounding area. Existing photos for the site. This is looking from Hazelwood into the site, and this is looking across from Hazelwood at the existing monument sign that is currently on site. This is looking from the center of the site in the southwest corner towards Old Las Casas Road, from the center towards the residential sections to the southeast, and this is looking north across that existing quarry quarry pond, you can see there's some of that existing fence towards the residential to the north. And then once again, this is more towards the center of that exposed rock face in the center of the site, looking west towards Old Las Casas Road. Now, the proposed PCD is approximately 14.81 acres, with the storage facility taking about 14.68 acres of that, and the monument area taking up just a little over a tenth of the size. When it comes to the storage facility, the programming for it is pretty simple in terms of variety. It's going to be a mix of different types of storage options available, as well as a caretaker/office building and associated parking for the facility. A majority or a lot of this space for the site will be in open space, approximately 7 acres or 48%. This open space will consist of the wetland and pond area to the northeast, as well as tree preservation areas. That's one of the main reasons the client wanted to use this site, was the existing trees to help mitigate any type of visual impact to the surrounding community. The areas you see in dark green are areas of trees that we anticipate to be preserved upon full build out of the project. The areas in light green are areas that will be preserved until that specific phase is built out. So they don't plan on going in there and knocking out all the trees they can upon phase one. Those trees were going to remain until that phase is developed. Another addition for this project that we were speaking with staff was the addition of a bus parking spot. Schools take field trips to this monument. Currently, they unload students on the side of the road, so we wanted to pull them in, provide a safer place for those little ones to get off the bus and enjoy this unique part of our community. When it comes to the storage units and spaces provided, there's a couple different types. The first is the 550 climate-controlled storage units would be found in the 3-story building on the southwest portion of the property. There's approximately 10 single-story storage units along Old Las Casas Road, and then a total of 238 RV and boat outdoor storage spaces, which would consist of 73 covered and 165 open space parking spots. I'm going to go over all the storage facility development standards, but some of the key ones is that the hours of operation for this facility are to be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Access to this facility would be via coded entry. However, coded entry will only work during those times of hours of operation. So there won't be anyone coming in this site at midnight or at 4 in the morning. They'll have to be there between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. The patrons will adhere to the prohibited activities listed within the storage facility found in the PCD. There will be no signage or banners behind the glazing in the 3-story building. Site lighting will comply with the City of Murfreesboro standards, and the development shall provide landscape buffers anywhere where the existing vegetation is not thick enough to meet performance standards per Murfreesboro zoning ordinance. This will be broken out into 3 phases, with phase 1 consisting of the caretaker building / office, along with the associated parking for potential clients, as well as the 10 storage units along Old Las Casas Road, and then a mix of covered and uncovered outdoor storage. Phase 2 in purple will consist of expanding that covered and open space storage for RVs and boats, and phase 3 will consist of the 550 climate-controlled units. The buffers around this site almost completely encompass it. The area in blue is going to be a type D buffer, specifically the light blue area you see there. That is to be utilized with the existing vegetation for the buffer. If it needs supplemented with additional buffering, that would be added. The dark blue areas where we're anticipating the need to add buffering in the first place. And the same would be for the red line you see there with the type C landscape buffer. With this facility, security is an important factor. So there is quite a bit of fencing being proposed with this. However, if there is any fencing proposed that can be seen from Old Las Casas Road, specifically within this area here, it would be of the decorative type as seen in this example. There would be the need for some temporary fencing, as not all buildings would be constructed upon phase 1, and some of these buildings would be utilized as part of the security part, essentially so people couldn't cross, essentially, with these buildings. And further along that southwest portion, we would have this PVC vinyl fence. The security fencing you see here would be located along the north and northeast portion of this, with the blue section displaying temporary fencing between phase 1 and 2 as well. The fencing around the detention pond would remain. And just to get some clarification on this, because we got some questions at the neighborhood meeting, this is fence with the stone wall and chain link fence is still part of Mr. Cunningham's property. This is not part of the PCD. So that would remain part of his property and outside the scope of this pattern book. There is some existing fencing around the monument sign. This would be cleaned up. There's any vegetation around it. And if there's any part of it still outdated or broke, it would be replaced as well. For the setbacks to the site, there would be a 42 front setback from Old Las Casas Road with a 30-foot setback along the southern perimeter and a 25-foot setback along the north. We are asking for a 20-foot setback between the proposed buildings in the storage facility and the monument site along Old Las Casas Road. The architecture for this site went back and forth between staff quite a bit and the client, and I really think we can provide a product now that's been honed quite well for this specific area. Some of the major things that were changed with this architecture was the removal of the corrugated metal within all elevations. A cap was added to the 3-story building, as well as additional glazing, and the colors were lightened up a little bit. And the results of that are what you can see here. So this is the 3-story building as seen from Old Las Casas Road. This is the building, northern elevation of that same building with the east and south elevation. The main point of having a lot of that void space moved, as you can see here, to the corner of the building was, once again, we want to preserve those trees along Old Las Casas Road. So the intent is to have it so if you can see it, it still looks nice, but we want to screen that as much as possible. So a lot of that void space was moved to the corner to give it more of a commercial or office feel rather than an industrial. These are the example elevations of the single-story buildings along Old Las Casas Road and a perspective of what those would look like. Here are the example elevations for the caretaker building / office and the perspective of what that would look like as well. The southern buildings, which would consist of the overhead canopy storage for RVs and boats. These are examples of these elevations and what that would look like as well. We do have some samples of sections here to show you the distance in relation from the proposed buildings to the property lines. Once again, all the trees you see there that are on our property would be preserved, and if the standards for screening were less than satisfactory per staff, we would add supplemental landscaping to that as well. And you can see in the top right, that is the elevation that the neighbors would be looking at. Rather than seeing an open field with storage of RVs and boats, we elected to design it so that those buildings were covering that entire portion of the property. And similar example along Las Casas Road. We have that 70 to 75 foot tree preservation area before it hits that elevation there. The monument sign for this area is being proposed to be utilized as the formal open space for this PCD. Final site design will be worked out with staff at site plan level to determine all the additions they would like to see for this monument area. There's 6 exceptions with this book. First and foremost, primary is that distance from the intersection, from that 300 feet, requesting that be reduced to 0. From major intersections to self-storage facilities. We're also requesting an exception to the shared property line of the monument parcel to be 20-foot front setback to storage buildings. And we're also requesting that exception for that formal open space to be utilized in the monument area rather than on-site for the storage. We are requesting an exception as well to the tree islands within the parking areas, because this would be striped. They're technically required tree islands with curb and everything else, because these are not necessarily professional drivers commercially for large vehicles. The fewer curbs, the better. But we still want to provide the required trees, and they'll just provide an alternative locations on site. And we're also requesting an elevation exception to allow outdoor storage of RVs, trailers, and boats to exceed 50% of the total units in phase 1 and 2, because that is considered an accessory use. And lastly, we're requesting that exception to architectural guidelines to have less than 35 window or void areas on building facades. If you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those now or after the public hearing.
Any questions from council? All right, we're going to hold a public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter has 3 minutes to speak. If you represent a group, you have 5 minutes. And you move to the podium now. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Motion to defer?
Don't hit me with that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Do we need a motion to defer? Is that right?
You should make a motion to defer.
Motion to defer this until the, what meeting? The applicant probably wants to know.
Well, we have the workshop on July 10th, but we do have a regularly scheduled meeting on July 17th. We will not meet on July 3rd. So it would probably be better.
To defer for July 17th?
Perfect.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call roll.
Ms. Averwater,
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye. Next item of business, plan of services, annexation and zoning for property along Jurgen Road.
So this will be the first of 2 public hearings for the subject property tonight. The first one is for an annexation. The annexation area is for approximately 13.74 acres on the north side of Jurgen Road, just to the east of the intersection with Ashley Drive. This annexation also includes approximately a ½ acre of right-of-way of Jurgen Road. The plan of services is included in your packet. With the existing city limits being to the north and west of this property, it's relatively easy to serve upon annexation or with the development of the property. Kind of the lone exception to note in the plan of services is that the applicant will need to work with the neighboring developments to the north or to the west to extend sewer to serve this property, but that will be their responsibility. Planning Commission held a public hearing on May 7th and recommended approval of this annexation and plan of services to the City Council. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and Mr. Brian Grover with SEC is here representing the applicant.
Any questions for council before we open the public hearing? All right, we'll open the public hearing on the plan of services and annexation for 13.74 acres on Jurgen Road. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing.
What are these people here for? Okay. Motion to defer until the July 17th meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Averwater,
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye. All right, now we're going to hear the
That's it for public hearing. No, there's one more.
plan of services and annexation,
That's right.
the same property. Oh,
So
sorry.
it would be the zoning.
Zoning, sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, so this is the simultaneous zoning with the annexation. There was the prior item. The applicant is requesting to rezone to RS 10, which is residential single family on a 10,000 square foot lot minimum. The area surrounding this to the north is Prater Farms, which is a planned development, and to the west is Magnolia Grove, which is also a planned development within the city limits. Lot sizes within those developments range from 6,000 to 10,000 square feet for those lots. To the east and south is large lot single family residential that is within unincorporated Rutherford County, and currently zoned RM under the county zoning. The future land use map identifies this, the subject property, as suburban residential, which supports the RS10 zoning being requested by the applicant. Before you on the screen, there's a 21 lot concept that the applicant has provided to us. That's what they're contemplating doing, but only a concept at this time. So Planning Commission held a public hearing for this item also on May 7th and recommended recommended approval of the zoning to the City Council. I'm happy to answer any questions, and Mr. Grover is here as well.
Any questions from council? All right, we're going to hold a public hearing on the zoning for 13.74 acres simultaneous with annexation. Seeing no one, we will close this public hearing and move on to the first reading of ordinance 250202. 22.
We want to do this the 17th too, right? Motion to defer for July 17th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. All right, next item of business, amending the zoning ordinance, school and institutional group assemblies, uses, planning.
Mayor Pro Tem, this is me. I'm going to pull this together. This is the proposed school and institutional uses that would kind of give a more expeditious and efficient means for schools to bypass some of our requirements when they're looking at smaller additions. Effectively, it would eliminate the special use permit from the Board of Zoning Appeals. It would remove irrigation requirements, establish a type C buffer when adjacent to residential. It would require a planned institutional or a planned urban development rezoning if the new school was developed on the property. If the addition to an existing school is currently defined as over 50,000 square feet, if there was an athletic or recreation field proposed as an improvement with lighting and amplified sound, and we did add a condition that if there was an accessory use to any school where machinery that generates noise is involved, certain trade classes or shop classes, auto repair, it had to be conducted indoors and inside of a building located at least 150 feet from any property line. I've given you all the presentation, or I've given you all the data involved with about 18 different school additions and expansions. 4 out of those 18 would have been greater than the 50,000 square foot requirement and would have required a planned institutional development modification or a rezoning of that property. So 12 of 18 would, so that's about 71% of the square footage. So I'll leave it at that and expecting that you would defer this action until July 17th. I can always provide more information to the public if the public hearing warrants that.
Thank you. Any questions before the public hearing?
No.
All right, we're going to hold a public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak, move to the podium. Seeing none, I close this public hearing and move on to the first reading of ordinance 25020.
Motion to defer for the, y'all can make a motion too, you know. Motion to defer for the July 17th meeting.
We just like to hear you talk. Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. All right. Resolution 25R23, designated representative fiscal 25 COPS hiring program.
Good evening. I'm here to present for your consideration a resolution that would allow Finance Director Amanda DeRosa to sign on behalf of the city the submission of a COPS hiring grant program. She has existing authority within the Just Grant system for some other justice grants that we have, so this would be consistent with that authority. And this would allow us to submit the application for a COPS hiring program grant.
Great.
She sure she wants to sign all this stuff?
I have to, yeah.
All right, move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. All right, next item of business. Contract with Insight for LPR cameras and services.
Good evening, Council. Steve Gerald, the Deputy Chief. Pleasure to be here again tonight. Tonight for consideration is the contract for the LPR devices and services. As you're aware, the Police Department has experienced great success in crime solvability and other factors related to the LPR technology. This contract will extend our subscription and services for an additional 3 years with a total cost of $513,000. This will be payable in 3 annual installments of $171,000 each year. The initial installment will be funded through the department's FY26 operating budget, and the additional installments will be budgeted accordingly from the FY27 and FY28 operating budgets. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Excuse me.
So move.
Second.
Motion is second.
Ms. Haberwater,
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye. Consolidated Plan and First Year Action Plan for 2025 to 2029 Community Development.
Good evening. Tonight for your consideration, if I can get this up. Sorry. We have the Community Development 2025 5-year Consolidated Plan and First Year Annual Action Plan. The Consolidated Plan and Action Plan outlines the program's goals and objectives for the use of the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Grant funds over the next 5 years as required by HUD. The program goals and objectives will continue to be homeownership assistance for first-time homebuyers, owner-occupied housing rehab, new construction and rehab of rental housing, public facilities and infrastructure, fair housing education, and administration and planning. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
So move.
Second. So proud of you.
Motion and a second.
Ms. Haberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye. All right, Thompson Lane widening easement offers.
Good evening. Minimize some of this. I just have one slide. As you all know, Thompson Lane is going to be widened between Broad Street and Memorial Boulevard. It's about a 4-mile stretch. And the department has water and sewer mains to relocate. With those relocations, TDOT no longer allows us to be within the roadway, which is requiring us to obtain easements, be in the right-of-way, and also obtain some easements. Some of those are permanent easements, some are temporary, and then some properties have both permanent and temporary on them. We figured the easements using tax assessor's values. For permanent easements, that's 50% of the land value, and for temporary easements, it is for 20% of the land value based on the size of the easement. The temporary offers were at 20% because we figured the construction for a 2-year period. We added 10% for voluntary conveyance to that value of the easement, and if the property owners agree, up front to sign the easement, they will have that 10% voluntary conveyance added to it. And then there were some easements that were so small, they were less than 1,000. So we requested the Water and Resources Board to approve a minimum of $1,000 easement offer. So the request is the maximum amount that was calculated for the permanent and temporary easements was in the neighborhood of $662,000. We requested the board to approve $689,000 to give our legal department a little wiggle room when negotiating with property owners to try and avoid using eminent domain. Knowing that some of those owners will not agree with the easements, we would request, if the property owners do not agree, that we go ahead and give legal the authority to move forward with using eminent domain, and the 10% for voluntary conveyance of the easement will be removed from our offer amount. We will have to, though, if they use eminent domain, we'll have to move forward with obtaining an appraisal for the property. So the request tonight is approve a total amount of $689,000 as a starting point for easement offers for the 99 easements that we have to obtain for on 99 properties.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Thank you.
State maintenance contract, fiscal year 2025 to 2027, streets.
Good evening. I am seeking your approval of the state maintenance contract for TDOT, with TDOT for the fiscal years 2025 through 2027. This contract allows city crews to perform routine maintenance and improvements of state routes within the city limits. In turn, TDOT will reimburse the city for all improvement and maintenance costs not to exceed $739,209. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. Agreement for body shop services for city vehicles.
Good evening. I'm bringing forward tonight the contract agreement for body shop services for city vehicles. I do recommend approval of this contract. The bid was sent out in March of 2025. Hatton Automotive and Alliance Auto Body were the lowest responsive and responsible bidders. These contracts provide body shop services for city vehicles. By utilizing these contracted services, the department has solicited the lowest cost service providers with the most efficient turnaround time for body repairs. The FY26 budgeted expense for outside body shop services is $325,000. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I've got.
So you recommend approval? I'm just,
I got one.
okay.
How does this affect what we discussed at the workshop with TCAT?
Oh,
That shouldn't have any effect on that. That was strictly just a learning tool partnership with TCAT.
I think we're talking about taking some light body work.
Correct.
Stuff over to TCATs to give those students some experience. I think this is more robust. This is going to be a little bit more extensive.
Okay.
Correct.
move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. All right, purchase of property and liability insurance.
Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, thank you for the opportunity to present. This is a recommendation from the staff to approve and authorize and bind premiums for FY26 insurance program. Just to go overview of that insurance program, we have multiple lines of coverage. Some are through our public entity partners risk pool, which their representative is here if you have direct questions for them. The coverages that they place are general liability, auto liability, errors and omissions liability, which includes employment practices liability, and also law enforcement liability. They also place our collision insurance on our autos for vehicles that are valued either equal or exceeding $75,000 in fair market value, and also catastrophic vehicle damage insurance and workers' compensation. The other lines of coverage are provided to us through our third-party broker, which is Gallagher, and their representative is here as well. That package includes our commercial property insurance through Travelers Insurance. We have crime insurance, also with the faithful performance of duty coverage, which is also from Travelers. And then finally, our cyber insurance, which is from Cowbell Insurance Agency. All of the policies are being recommended for renewal. There is no new insurance policies that are being introduced, and each of these coverages are from our current incumbents. A part of the property insurance market for the rate increase there is just due to significant weather and natural disasters that have occurred across the country, which the City of Murfreesboro is not exempt from those challenges. Additionally, the City of Murfreesboro is also, we've increased our property portfolio values just through acquired property purchases that we've made over the year. In addition to that, our crime and cybersecurity policies both increased modestly with a nominal increase. And then our remaining insurance coverage is being, again, purchased directly through public entity partners. And the city is retaining its expiring self-insured retentions for both liability and for auto. So the proposal for the insurance program, bottom line, will increase our insurance year over year for our total cost of risk by 7.95%. And our recommendation is for City Council to approve that renewal, which will go into effect July 1st, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Ms. Saberwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade? Mr. Wright?
Aye. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
HVAC preventative maintenance contract.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present these next two items for your consideration. First is to consider the agreement with Johnson Controls Incorporated to provide preventive maintenance services for the HVAC equipment for 35 city buildings. The department proposes to contract for these services to proactively identify problems before they arise and prolong the equipment's life cycle. The proposed agreement covers all the city major buildings. This was a competitive bid, and Johnson Controls was the lowest responsive bidder. This agreement is renewable for up to 3 one-year terms after the original award upon mutual agreement. The expense, $136,806, is funded by the 11 participating departments, including the airport, City Hall, Fleet, Fire, Golf, Parks, Police, Solid Waste, Street, Transit, and Water. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
None from me.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Ms. Saberwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade? Mr. Wright?
Aye. Generator preventative maintenance agreement.
Similar in nature to the previous item, this is an agreement with Clark Power Services Incorporated for preventive maintenance services for the emergency backup generators that provide protection for 20 city buildings and the 911 communications network. Again, the department proposes to contract for these services to proactively identify problems and provide regular maintenance that will prolong the equipment's life cycle. Clark Power Services has agreed to provide these services needed for $41,900 per year for 3 years. This also was a competitive bid, and Clark Power Services was the lowest responsive bidder. The expense, $125,700, is funded by the facility's operating budget. Be happy to answer any questions.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Ms. Saberwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. Thank you. Revised Safe Streets and Roads for All grant agreement with Federal Highway Administration.
Thank you for the opportunity. Deja vu. The City Council approved the original grant agreement on January 16, 2025. Since that time, FHWA has made some minor modifications to the agreement language due to the President's executive orders. City staff and legal department have reviewed and concur with the revised language. I'm available for any questions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second.
Ms. Saberwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. And now the Safe Streets for All Action Plan Professional Service Contract.
Thank you. Staff issued an advertisement soliciting qualifications and letters of interest to provide the professional services necessary for the project development as outlined by FHWA. After reviewing the proposal, staff recommended Kimley Horn to provide the desired services. Kimley Horn will provide services to develop the action plan in accordance with the U.S. Department of Transportation's SS4A action plan and implementation grant criteria. The scope includes project management, stakeholder and public outreach, data gathering and analysis, safety emphasis areas, identification, preparation of final safety action plan, and that document will be prepared for City Council approval. The total contract amount is $343,100, which is an 80-20 match, and the city's 20% funding will come from State Street Aid. I'm available for any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second.
Ms. Saberwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Kerr. City Concrete and Storm Drainage Annual Contract Review.
Good evening. My name is Lexi Stacy. I work in the engineering department. I'm filling in for Chris Griffith tonight. So tonight I'm bringing you the renewal of the annual city concrete and storm drainage contract with Rollins Excavating. This contract was originally awarded in May of last year after a competitive bid process and is eligible for renewal each year for up to 4 years. And this is the first year that of its renewal. The renewal includes a unit price adjustment of 3% from last year, which is tied to the Consumer Price Index. This contract plays a key role in maintaining and improving our city's infrastructure, including projects like sidewalk ADA compliance and storm drainage system repairs. Rollins has been a dependable partner and has consistently delivered quality work, which is why staff recommends approval of this renewal. Funding for this contract primarily comes from State Street Aid, which is our local share of the state's gasoline tax, with additional support from the stormwater user fee. We have allocated around $2.25 million from both of those funds towards this contract. We also occasionally use this contract with CIP projects if the pricing is significantly lower. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. City paving contract renewals.
Thank you. This is for the renewal of our 2 annual city paving contracts, one with Wiregrass Construction and one with Hawkins Asphalt Paving. These were originally awarded in June of 2023, and this is the second renewal out of 4. The contracts also include a price adjustment of 3% tied to the CPIU. They are essential for the resurfacing of our streets and ensuring that we continue to invest in and maintain our infrastructure. Both Wiregrass and Hawkins are great to work with, and they always deliver high quality work, which is why we recommend approval of these renewals. Funding for the contracts also come from State Street Aid, to which we have allocated around $2.5 million from our State Street Aid budget for. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. All right. Any board and commission? Thank you. Any board and commission appointments?
No.
Licensing? No.
We have 3 regular beer permits tonight. 2 are for new restaurant locations, one at 4433 Veterans Parkway, Suite B, and the other at 3105 Medical Center Parkway. We also have one for an ownership location change for a tobacco store located at 2510 South Church Street, Suite B. All applicants meet our requirements and are recommended for approval pending final building and codes inspections.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second.
Ms. Averwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. Any payments or statements?
No, sir.
All right. Any other business from staff? Any other business from council?
Great job, Pro Temp Mayor Sean Wright.
All right. 4th of July celebration next week at the Fountains. A great community event. Go out and enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. We will not be meeting July 3rd. So July 10th workshop is our next time together.
Awesome. With that, we stand adjourned.